Guys, I've been sitting there talking to myself for damn near 10 minutes. I want to tell you guys, it's just one of those days. I swear to gosh, man. I went to go live, and instead of going live, it popped up a thing about HD, this or that. I didn't even notice it. So, bam, I just gave like all my takes on what's going on. But I know you guys aren't feeling too great out there. It's a pretty tough time here.
Oh, we suck again.
That's the time we're on, folks. The last game, it was terrible. Like, don't get me wrong. Georgia Tech, we roasted the team. We roasted the coaching staff for every bit they were worth. Really called out everything that happened, but you needed a bounce back. You really needed a bounce back in this game. And unfortunately, it did not happen. We had the Boston College guy from 247 come onto the channel yesterday over at the Renegade Report to do a breakdown. He did a great job. And kind of what we talked about came through in this game. Like pretty much all the best case scenarios for Boston College, all the worst case scenarios for Florida State. I said kind of where I started to go before I started rambling. I said last weekend after that Georgia Tech game, like, yeah, you lost to Georgia Tech by 3, but they really had a great game plan. They stuck to it. They played physical. They're a lot better than people thought, all these things. You can't say any of those things this week. It was just really bad coaching, bad playing, bad everything. The special teams basically carried that team in the first half. And then you get in the second half, and you go for it on your own 45 when it's still a one possession game. Like, you finally started pinning these guys, getting a stop, moving the ball on offense. And for whatever reason, it's not like it was an easy fourth down. It's not like I'm for it. The 4th and 1, quarterback sneak, even 4th and 2. But you make that choice, and that pretty much, that put you down 2 scores, and that pretty much ended the game there at that point. Really, really disappointed in that. DJU was the big target early on, especially on social media and things of that nature. And you can admit being wrong, all these things. He ended up finishing the game close, I think, to what his career completion percentage is. But that first half, going into the first half of the second half, like, that was bad. That was to the point where the crowd's cheering for Brock Glenn, booing DJU, all these things, and you can't blame them in the stadium. I'm sitting there at home thinking, like, okay, at this point, playoffs are out the window. You can't get anything going. Like, what's the point of leaving DJU out there? Like, at some point, you've got to look forward to start building for the future, find something to give a spark. And as soon as like that really crept up into my consciousness, DJU started playing better. All of a sudden, in the second half, I can't remember the time. It's really all a blur. But there in the third quarter, after the inexplicable turnover, going for it on that 4th down, when it looked like we might have a chance to come back in this game, the wide receivers just wouldn't catch it. Kyle Morlock drops 2 giant conversion plays on back-to-back drive killers. Other guys do the same thing. Jalen Brown made a few plays. There were some bright spots. Kentron Portier finally went to him. I mean, every time they threw it over Kentron Portier's way, he was making plays. So that was the bright spot if you want to find one. But Jeff Hill, $10 donation, says, I don't really have the words how disgusted I feel right now. I didn't see the start of the season coming 0-2. Yeah, I don't think anybody did. Nobody saw 0-2. I guess some people did after last week. But you'll have to excuse me. I usually have the kind of red that I try to get close to a shade of garnet behind me for the show. I couldn't go with the turquoise either because that's Seminole Warriors. I didn't want to disparage them. So I went with the softest kind of lavender or purple. The LEDs don't do too good with the pink, mine anyway. So that's what the backdrop is for. Soft. This defensive line, they are not that good. They are not that good. I'll tell you what. It's really tough. It's really tough. I'm going to tell you right now, this is one of the hardest things I'll ever do. I literally had this thing paused. I was talking. Gave a 7-minute monologue with this thing not even live for you guys. So This is the second time through. It's like, oh man, it's tough. Comments like this team has zero fight or leaders. Noel's got no heart. Sorry, man, no leadership. Yeah, all those things are fair points. You don't have Alex Atkins out there, or they take this dip out. That's an issue, but the offensive line played okay at points. Georgia Tech started cramping there in the second half again. The offense started to move, but they can't finish. They just could not finish anything. Um, there's so many microcosms of the game I could give you. There was a penalty on Byron Turner, an unnecessary roughness that was completely pointless. There's no call for it. I can't remember if it was special teams. I can't remember the play, but I'm texting a former player on the team, my guy Freddie, and just talking about what's going on. And I'm like, that's a microcosm of what's going on there. It's they've got to start. They can't win for beating themselves. And then at the very end of the game, when Florida State has a chance to get back into it, you got a little momentum going. Who is the defensive player that does it again? They have another big time, or it was an offensive lineman in this case, Terrence Ferguson. 4th and 5, you got a chance to go down here and score with plenty time to score and make something happen. Have a chance. And bam, 4th and 20, you've got to punt it. And now you're punting it at a point in the time in the game where you can't. I mean, you have one chance. I applaud Mike Norvell's time management this game. I thought he made an improvement there. I think the main thing was like get DJU in a rhythm. And I kind of respect it now looking back, even though the calls were Brock and all those things. Like he was going to stick with DJU. They were going to force you to pass. He was going to get him in a rhythm, but it just never happened. DJU was completely off target when he had guys wide open. I don't know if the guys lost confidence in themselves or what. Kyle Morlock, I mean, man, brother, brother, brother. Kyle Pickett says, show me 4 games FSU wins this season. I'll wait. Buddy, it's hard right now. That team out there playing like it played, no, there's not 4 games on the schedule. Now I can spin a yarn and tell you guys a way that we could get there and get back to oh, it's not so bad. We still got an 8 or 9 win team out there, but this is a mental thing. This is right back to I'm not going to like I'm really trying not to go hyperbole like right after the game. And I will say I believe in this program. I believe in Mike Norvell and like his future. I believe like he fucked up. Excuse my language. I know we're not supposed to curse on here like that, but like he messed up. He was wrong about this team. They lost way too many leaders, way too many guys to the NFL. Um, some like it's us against the world and getting hunkered down to a certain extent. They paid for that because they were just wrong. The defense, it's like sometimes you have a draft class where you lose a bunch of guys off the offense, but you bring a lot of your defensive guys back, or vice versa. We all underestimated losing so many leaders on the offense and the defensive side. And, recruiting is a hot and cold button topic. We've talked a lot about it. I've defended Florida State on a lot of things, but one area that has been a problem forever has been linebacker. Like since Norvell had got here, linebacker recruiting has not been it. We haven't got the guys out of high school, and we haven't got them out of the portal. We got the one dude, Tatum Bethune, and we had Kalen DeLoach left from the Willie Taggart years. And those 2 guys carried you to 2 really good years. 10 wins his first year with Tatum Bethune. And you saw what this defense was last year with Tatum Bethune and Kalen DeLoach going to in the second year. The addition of Braden Fisk along with Jared Verse and all those names. These guys, it doesn't seem like there's not one of those guys out there that's willing that can take this team under its wing and just kind of calm everybody down. It's tough. I feel bad for Maurice Smith. I'll have to go back and look at the tape. I think he's one of the bright spots. He had one penalty that killed us in a spot, and it's like you feel for a disciplined player who's doing what he's supposed to do because there's not room for anybody to have any kind of lapse. And that's what happens when you've got things going on like what happened in that first half. Like when people are just making stupid penalties everywhere, then you get one little run of the mill penalty that's just going to happen nobody's fault. Well, it's over with. You've already had 10. That should have never happened. Um, Guys, if you have any questions, because I'm telling you, I've been doing this a couple years. This is my second year doing the post game show. It was a little different last year. We only had the one loss after Georgia. I know I'm going back and forth, but keep your comments coming, your super chats. We really appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribed right here at the Voice of College Football. This is actually the FSU Voice of College Football. I believe he's trying to get to 5,000 subs. You can subscribe to my channel if you want to hear more about this terrible football team at the Renegade Report right here on YouTube as well. We're trying to get 3,000 subs. But yeah, here's where we'll go. This offense, I've talked a lot about the offense. And we'll talk about it more later, probably. We got a lot of time to fill here. We got to do an hour. But the offense, as bad as things were with DJU, you saw some light at the end of the tunnel. You saw where possibly if you brought in Brock Glenn, if you decide to make a youth movement, you see some things there that could happen on offense at some point. The issue with the problems that you have on defense, even though they played a little bit better at the end of the game, like how much of them playing better was just the fact that all of a sudden offense, Boston College was cramping. Like, you know, how was it just they were tired? Was it Boston College was up? Did they just not have any respect? They were kind of just the team being able to just not worry about it. Oh, they're not going to complete the pass. They're not going to make it happen. So you saw Trayshawn Ward drop one early on a wheel route. That never happened again. Trayshawn Ward kicked our ass. Boy, could we use Trayshawn Ward and Marcuston Douglas right about now. That Marcuston, I've talked a lot about how Florida State hasn't had a lot of portal losses. Now, this Trayshawn Ward one sucks, but at the end of the day, he transferred again. You had Trey Benson get drafted early, like you looked good. Like hard to hold that one. But no, the Marcuston one was obviously a huge loss. Marcuston would have made some big plays in this game, and maybe he'd have been that calming presence on offense. Steven jumps in with another $9.99 super chat. DJ, you gotta go. 0-2. Let's rock with Brock. Look, I would be if we had won this game, I'd have had a really easy argument to tell you no. Had we even lost it close, I'd be still ready to be like, all right, you brought in a guy, you banked the season on him. You brought in a senior transfer quarterback. Both your quarterbacks, one's a redshirt freshman, the one's a true freshman. But at this point, Mike Norvell, he's got a lot of soul searching to do. You got a bye week. Because at the end of the day, people tried to warn me. I looked at it. I looked at the stats. I watched a ton of tape at DJU. I never saw it look that bad as it did. But again, I want to go back and look at the film because, like, a lot of this started, like, I may not have seen it but I may not, like, Lawrence Toafili is usually Mr. Reliable. Lawrence Toafili doesn't drop passes out of the backfield. I can't remember how many, but a couple major drops. Like, Lawrence Toafili just completely left you hanging, like, in what he is supposed to do on third downs. Like, it's a team effort here, guys. I don't want to harp on DJU because he deserves it, and you really have to consider going with Brock. Uh, it's really confusing the reports we got back from practice. I'm not fortunate enough to be at every practice, but I do have some pretty good connections to people that are there, and we all have all the materials from the different people that are there, as far as the different sites and things of that nature. Talking to different players that get to go, several different players that get to go. Like, these guys looked all right in practice. It's the intangibles. Like, it's just not there. It's one of those things. It was like that for a long time. You had it in 2022 or in 2020, halfway through 2021. They got it turned around. But I said we weren't going back to that, guys. We are back to that. This thing is broken as far as mentally. Like, I see people online talking about, it's like these guys don't work out and stuff. I think that's a bit of hyperbole. Like, you saw Boston College wearing out. Florida State was good to go. The defensive line doesn't suck because they're gassed. Their defensive line was bad from snap one. And I don't know how much of that is Adam Fuller and Odell Haggins and whatever they're doing, if it's because the linebackers. I thought I saw Blake look a lot better at linebacker. I thought our linebacker play was a lot better this game. I have to go back and look. Um, but I mean, when your defense is this bad, you can't just put them right back out there on the field. So that's the thing. It was just the absolutely worst complimentary football you'll ever see. Like it just, Steven says D line overrated. Unfortunately, yeah, big time. They can make plays, they can move it from time to time, but when push comes to shove, no. The offensive lines we played the past 2 weeks have moved that defensive line. They have moved them. I thought Byron Turner was a bit of a bright spot, somebody who played pretty well in week 1, but he's out here making boneheaded plays. Marvin Jones, I'll have to go back and watch it. Looked like he did a better. Looked like everybody on the defense did a better job, kind of setting the edge and turning things inside again. But once they started setting the edge and turning things inside, it was the quarterback, wide open down the middle. And they did. They got some stops there in the second half. They really did. They got some stops, and DJU made some damn throws. But again, Morlock, 2 drive enders. I think Toafili had another drive ender. A ton of them. I think Mark gave me a shout out for standing in the paint here. So no problem, man. You know I'm always here. If you got to read for me or something, throw it in the comments. I'll read it. I kind of, I added a little clip for the guys at the beginning. We suck again thing with from the Water Boy. But yeah, that's where we're at with it. It's pretty tough, but it is what it is. This team was owned in Ireland, now owned in Tallahassee. Changes must be made now. No more excuses. Hey, I'm with you, Kyle. What changes do you guys think they can make? We've already talked. I think DJU, you put in Brock Glenn, that's a popular one. But as far as linebackers, back to the recruiting. We can talk about firing Randy Shannon again, but that conversation's been had again. After he signed his contract, both of the past 2 years, I believe it's been 1-year extensions. Disappointed. I wrote on the site back in 2022 that I thought, at the beginning of 2023, that I thought they should have moved on. They should have did something, but whatever. They kept him. And then again, another thing, they kept him this year. He's making $650,000. I spoke about it a minute ago. He hasn't brought him out of high school, and he hasn't brought him out of the portal. You got Tatum Bethune. You got number 20, my guy, Blake Nicholson. But outside of that, you have not got much. You've got a bunch of guys who are already there. And who do you go to at linebacker? Tamir Hickman Collins, and those guys are super young. He brought the guy in last year that they signed at like the last second. He was like he was never going to play. Dylan something other else. Like he's already transferred out. There's just nowhere to go there in that linebacker room. I thought the wide receivers. I'll have to go back and look and grade them. But again, they got open some from time to time, but they were not catching the ball. I know the FSU media is idiots and everything is a popular narrative, but dude, it's not just the FSU media. Like, and I'll take full responsibility. I was wrong. But so was a lot of other people. Mike Norvell gets paid a lot of money to know what's going on with that team. So do all those different coaches. So changes needed to happen. I think as much as you can go youth, I think Cam Davis needs to get a lot more touches. I think his priority on where you have Roydell Williams getting touches next to Cam, I think that slides way back down to Cam. I like the physicality I saw Cam run. The one pretty good run he got that was 3 or 4 yards on just a regular in the course of the game. He pushed the first guy off of him, and the next guy was a linebacker. I think he made him eat it. Like if he wasn't wearing a helmet, that dude would have ate his freaking teeth. So I want to see Cam get more. Man, this shit's reminiscent of when Cam Akers showed up. And it's like, oh gosh, Dalvin Cook is gone, Jimbo Fisher's leaving, all these things, and man, Cam Akers, that first year he couldn't hardly keep his feet up underneath him, but you saw the want to. You saw the thing that was missing from the rest of the team in him. So we were kind of hard on them for giving Cam a chance early in that Georgia Tech game, putting him on a bad spot. But Kyle Pickett, man, he's been at the Renegade Report. He'll just slink in there and throw down a couple $100. I see him dropping guap over at Spear Addicts and Den Media Group. We appreciate you, bro. Kyle Pickett with the $110 super chat. Let's go, Kyle Pickett. Here's 5 times our rushing yards, which is pathetic. Wow, he really set that joke up good with the $110 super chat. 5 times our rushing total. Do I even want to do that math? 22? We had 22 yards, Kyle. I haven't even looked at the box score. I want to torture myself. We had 22 yards. Yeah, we abandoned the run pretty quick, guys. That's another one. I'll have to go look at the clock. I know. Here's the thing: their defense was selling out, daring you to pass, and they had to pass. And again, like I spoke on it earlier, it's like Mike Norvell was like, "Look, whatever this fucking, excuse my language again, Mark, I'm gonna have to pay for the tip jar. We're bringing in super chats, so maybe we just take some of those off of my cut." But my goodness, it was bad. It was bad, guys. It was really, really bad. I don't know about firing everybody, Alan, but soul searching. There's some guys that are gonna have to go off the staff. There's some guys that are gonna have to get pushed to the back of the depth chart, things of that nature. You really feel for the DB group. I don't know. Do you feel for the DB group? They're just out there like, damn, we're never gonna get a chance to play our game. They're gonna have to play like linebackers all year, and it's tough. They're getting put in some spots. I think you can put. I forget what the play was. Maybe it was the first half. Shaheem Brown and the other safety. I don't know where Conrad Hussey was on the play. Somebody had bowled him over, but poor tackling. There was a couple times when that cost us, but at the end of the day, man, it all comes down to defensive line and linebackers. Your defensive line is getting pushed back. Your linebackers are getting swallowed up. DJ Lundy was flying around. He's giving a ton of effort. Like I said, Blake gave a hell of an effort out there, but yeah, you can't. They play well down to down. Like they would get, like most teams, 3rd and 4 to 3rd and 7. If you get the opposing offense to that, like that's par for the course. That's good. Like anything more than 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 3, that's a good chance for your defense to get off the field, especially 3rd and 7. But for Boston College, that shit was automatic all night till they got tired and started cramping up there at the end of the game, and we still couldn't cash in. But as far as I don't want to keep going back to DJU, but that drive in the red zone where you had 3 wide open touchdown plays called up by Mike, I don't think the mental side of this doesn't get talked about enough in this game. I've always talked a lot about that, how the best teams are mentally tough. You can see it to where, like, no matter how much talent you have, like the 2024 team, 2014 team, that team won those games, one score games, like, because they were mentally tough. They weren't necessarily disciplined, but they were mentally tough. This team, some of those Willie teams, the 2020 team, like they're going to find a way to lose that game. And that's where these guys are. They can't handle like success. If they have a little bit of success, and then something bad happens, like it's tough. The penalties, again, I'll go back to Byron Turner and TJ Ferguson, the penalties. Like there's just so many opportunities to get into the game. And is there something we haven't talked about? I haven't harped on enough. Keep Chopping says 10 plus drops. I wouldn't doubt it. And I mean, if you're DJU, that's what you're pointing at, 10 plus drops. But I'll have to go look because a lot of those balls, it's like, was that an error or a base hit in baseball? His touch it got there a little bit at the end, but he was rifling it when he needed to be tossing it and tossing it when he needed to be rifling it, and it was tough. Tough. It was tough. The first half was a lot like last week. Limited possessions, but Florida State still using their athleticism to make some plays to get the 2 field goals, 1 possession game. Second half did not go like last week. Second half, I mean, frustrations were shown on the coaching staff, from the players. It's just a shame nobody could ever get it going at the same time again. You saw some hope. You saw some good things for Portier. You saw DJU hitting Kyle Morlock. I thought DJU could have showed a little bit of emotion, maybe started talking a little crap out there after he started hitting guys in the hands and they were dropping it. But it's like, how do you quantify it? How do you quantify the drops and what will happen? Like, I don't. Championship teams don't make those mistakes. Marcus and Douglas didn't make those kind of drops. Lawrence Toafili, like, that's the craziest thing. Like, here's a guy who's been at Florida State through all the good times and been a clutch performer. Is he pissed off they haven't put him back there at Wildcat? I'd like to see that brought back, because at this point in time, it does not, whatever it can take to make a drive. And if teams are stacking the box against DJU and you can't throw it past him, I've seen those Trayshawn Ward drives. I've seen what he did in the ACC championship. Maybe it's time to work that into the playbook more. But I don't know. Everybody on the team, it looks like their confidence is just completely shaken. Confidence is just shaken. It's really disappointed. I hate to be so negative, guys, but there ain't much to be positive about. Does anybody have a positive in the chat? Is there something you saw that really hypes you up? Looking forward to? Are there specific young players you guys want to see get more snaps? Lucas looks awesome too. Why not feed him? I thought they fed him when they got a chance, but I think the physicality of the game in which we were playing and the number of guys in the box, I think it's a situation. And I'm not the best X's and O's guys out there, but I think it's kind of a situation where if you put Lucas out there, they're sending the house, all these run blitzes. It's like, now you can't check out of it. You've got to send him out on a pass. He can't help chip. He can't, like, it's not what he does. And if they're going to force him to do that when he's on the field, that's what they're going to attack. So I'm not sure. I have to go back and look when he made the play. If it was like a 2-back set, I think maybe that's a way you can get him out on the field. I think they put him out at wide receiver, maybe in the slot a time or two. Ja'Kai Douglas made some pretty good plays, but yeah, Deuce Spann made an appearance. Portier was he was the best wide receiver by a mile, I think, just on first watch. Does anybody else agree with that? Spear Addicts talked a lot about how we thought Hakeem was a really, really, really big loss. Yeah, turns out he was absolutely right about that. Kyle Pickett with another $100 super chat. Lord, we really appreciate you, bro. Talk about putting a positive spin on a negative night for the voice of college football FSU edition over here. One positive is our kicking and punting looks good. Elite special teams. So let's figure out how to build the team around the special teams unit, because we have not taken advantage of it at times. Because our guy was out there bombing punts. Again, I go back to that call on 4th down. Like, ESPN, like, I will say this, ESPN has the goal to put the analytics up the screen and it says green light, go. Not maybe, not 50% of the time, not if it's this, if it's that. No. 4th and 6 on the 45, you go, green light. Okay, that's what they put up there. And then he goes, and they're like, oh, well, that was a knee jerk. That was panic. You don't go there. Never do you go there. It's like, dude, what the? Well, start talking crap about ESPN. You just put it up there. I agree that it was knee jerk. I think it was crazy. I have no idea what Mike was thinking there. No idea. Like, I guess I do. I guess he thought he could get some momentum, but it's just Boston College. They weren't going to score a ton. Like, he wanted to keep his defense fresh, but you finally had a time at the end of the first half and going into the second half where the defense got rested. They were going to be able to at least go out there and put their best foot forward. Like, the limited possessions, I guess all that goes into it. But, boy, it's real easy to look back and say, if he didn't do that and punted, we got a real chance of winning this game, how our offense moved and how the defense played thereafter. It's like, And that's with all the penalties and everything that happened. Like, it was still only a 2-score. Like, oh, it hurts. It hurts. But yeah, our guy Mastromano, he can boot that thing a freaking mile. Let me tell you, he's a beast. Fitz didn't really get a chance to show out. Like, how do you not get in field goal territory more than twice? Like, dude should have had 5 field goals. We should have at least had 15, 18 points on field goals, just on drop pass and plays that didn't get converted. Like, so many times, so many times. But yeah, he had that one. I believe it's a 65-yarder that could have been like an 80-yard punt if there weren't for a missed tackle. Because he booted one from like our own 25 all the way back to the goal line. That thing was a beauty, a beauty. But again, we appreciate you, everybody, joining us. About 30 minutes and 59 seconds into this thing. We're going to give you guys about an hour. I would like to do some call-ins, but pretty tough. Pretty tough. My phone is about to die here. I don't know if we could squeeze one in or not. But if you're just joining us, we suck again. We suck again, guys. It's going to be a long year. We move back to, I think it was 1988. Florida State started 0-2 and then made some improbable run. Matter of fact, let's look that up right now. 1988 FSU schedule. Well, this shows only one loss. So maybe I'm mistaken. Yeah. We're in uncharted territory, guys. This team. It's bad. Bad. We got Memphis. We got SMU coming up. At least we got a bye this week. Folks asking where Jen is. This is the voice of college football post-game show. She's joined a couple times, but really tough to do these. Like, pretty tough to do these to get on here afterwards. So I'm sure she'll catch us for a few before the season's over. But nope, most of the time it's going to be just me. I see people going back to ceiling 4 wins. We might be the worst team in the ACC. Look, we might. I don't know. I don't know how good Boston College is. I don't know how good Georgia Tech is, but here's something that maybe this podcast, I'll give you a little bit of something you may not get for other podcasts here. A little bit of, be able to talk just a little bit of analytical, kind of philosophical football without just shitting on the team and the coaching staff and everything that's going on. Again, excuse my language. There's a comment made. I don't know the young lady's name, the sideline reporter. Early in the first half, when things are really going bad there, that second or third offensive drive where you go 3 and out real quick, less than a minute on the field. And she says, Mike Norvell is not a big fan of these tablets. He's not a big fan of the green dot and these tablets and all this stuff. He'd rather just get a view with his eyes and play it off the field. That really, really worried me. My heart dropped when I heard that. Because we talked a lot in this offseason about Florida State, Mike Norvell, his play calling, kind of be his calling card, and one of his biggest things, his ability to do more with less early in his career. And now he's got all this talent. Now you've got the green dot coming in. You've got the tablets on the sideline. He's going to be able to dissect this. She made it sound like he wasn't even looking at the tablets till after the second or third drive. Like, now we'll go over there and look at the tablet. I don't know what that's about. It makes it sound like, we'll just kind of, we'll use it if we need it. But I've got this shit. I'm a play caller. I'm a badass. I'm going to do this stuff. And I have no idea. I haven't talked to Mike. Maybe the question will come up. Maybe I'm not the only one that caught that. And maybe that was just complete and total BS made up by the sideline reporter. because they'll do that. James was saying the other day, Dez or somebody was a sideline reporter. He's like, I talked to James Coleman. He never even talked to him. So far be it for me to get too crazy in it, but a major storyline going into this year, along with the new clock rules going into year 2, the green dot for the offense and the defense. And I believe it's 20 tablets that you can have between the people on the field. This is NFL style stuff. They called this out on the broadcast. We talked about it in the Boston College preview yesterday. Bill O'Brien's staff, a lot of NFL guys. A lot of NFL guys. They're used to using these things. They've had those Surface tablets for years and years. They've had the communications for years and years. That's how they do it. That's how they talk. They huddle. They talk to their players. I put out a tweet earlier. I was like, was there some new rule was there another clock change rule? Because I'll tell you right now, these games feel different than they felt last year. Not just Florida State's games. Any of the games you watch seems like less possessions, just a different mood, a different feel around these football games. And that's it. That's the green dot, and that's the kind of the tablets. Everything is down to a little bit more of a fine-tooth comb, and people are going to hammer you. And if you can't win up front, that's game over. Obviously, we all know that. If your quarterback can't complete passes, if you can't get off the field on third down, but if you've got a team that's taking advantage of it on one side and running at an NFL, kind of efficiency, and you're just like adjusting mid-game, let's see if we can take advantage of these things. That's troublesome. That's worrisome. So I hope they're doing whatever they can, because we've all seen it. Jimbo Fisher had his heyday. Dabo Swinney had his run of dominance. This thing moves. It moves at a breakneck speed. You're either the new up and coming thing or you're old news. Nick Saban was able to adapt and change. He's one of the few people ever who went through multiple eras of college football and stayed elite as things changed. When it went from Jimbo Fisher and his pro style dominating things, to the RPO and all these things, he changed. He got a running quarterback. He hired Lane Kiffin. He did all that. And then when it phased back the other way to where it is now, back to running the football, you saw that from them last year. Okay, well, Mike Norvell's got to be able to adapt. And again, I don't know if that field reporter just made that up, or that's just something she noticed, yada, yada. If it was just he was talking philosophically about, yeah, I wish the rule didn't come. I like it the old way. Maybe that's what she was saying. But the way they made it seem, it was like, yeah, screw that tablet. I don't need it until the shit hits the fan. And now, oh God, we got to do what we got to do. So, yeah. Again, we can go over specifics. I know I've talked about linebackers, D-line. Haven't talked a ton about the DBs, because honestly, they just Boston College hit some timely passes and caught him running forward a couple of times. But what are you going to do? They had to do some things. I liked some of the blitz calls and things they did to try to get some. They were much more aggressive. I think the guys were much better about hitting the gaps as far as the linebackers go, as hard as we are on them. I think you had the right ones on the field this week for what you've got. But damn, that defensive line. They just, when they're positioned to make plays, they don't make the plays. They get close sometimes, but they don't make the plays. So it just puts a light on everything else. And when you can't they just never these stops on first downs. And again, you saw a couple of them late in the game when it was too late, but it's just bam, 4 yards on first down, conversion, 3rd and 3. It's over and over and over again. It's like somebody's got to make a stop. That first drive, that 9 or 10 minute drive in the first quarter, they were playing pretty good defense, down by down, but on third down, conversion. It's tough stuff. So yeah, playoffs. You might as well start preparing for Clemson right now. Start preparing for Clemson and Miami. Try to be the buster. Now, again, I'm very supportive of Mike Norvell. I'm not getting crazy talking hot seat and all that. You've got a couple bad years. It's going to happen. It's just college football. People aren't outside of Nick Saban. They aren't perfect every year. But this is kick in the nuts. This is a real miscalculation on what you were coming into this year. I'm trying to think of a good year to compare it to, but there really aren't any because we have examples, but it's like 2017, Jimbo is out the door. This is like 2017 if Jimbo was going to sack up and stay and fight through. If he would have, that's what this is like. You go into 2017, you have an opener against Alabama. I believe you might have even been top 10 at that time. You think all these great things are going to happen. Actually, Francois got hurt. It's a little different. DJU's fine. But the season went down the drain. Jimbo left. We know the whole deal. Right now, we've got a guy, Mike Norvell, who's in his 5th year, who we're talking about a 10-year plan. That's what I've hoped for at the bare minimum. That's what, I think he's stated before. That's like he's got like a 10-year plan. I may be speaking out of turn. We'll see. But no, I'm not talking hot seat, but criticism, hell yeah. The criticism is coming. And it's like, you don't have to tell him. He doesn't need anybody to tell him. He doesn't need the press to rub it in his face. He doesn't need any of that stuff. You see it on his face. You see it with him just bent over with his hands on his knees in the third quarter when, he does everything to get him back, get him in his position to win. They're completing some passes, doing things. Defense is actually getting stops, and then you get, just completely useless penalty. You're about to pin them deep. Now they're on the 45-yard, the 35-yard line or whatever it is. Nothing went right outside of, again, special teams, like Kyle pointed out with the $100 super chat. We can talk about that a little bit, guys. College football is a different game this year. We were all wondering what the difference with the green dot and the iPads and the communication in the portal and just everything coming to a head. Yeah, it's different. The speed of the game's different. The flow of the game's different. Nobody's focused. I saw somebody put that. I wanted to tweet it earlier, but I was too busy in the first quarter of the game. Nobody's focused. We didn't even have a play call for the first 20, 30 minutes of TV time. The entire first quarter, no clock. We got no clock. We're just guessing where we are. We got 2 minutes left in the quarter. Oh, never mind. That is the quarter. Like, what's it like coaching and trying to call a game when there's no play clock and no game clock? After the play, they're saying the refs are going to, okay, this is how many minutes are left. I got freaking Miami folks quote tweeting. I got one bet with this guy on the timeline. It's like, we don't play Miami for a month and 3 weeks. And I got people quote tweeting me talking about bets. So I might go ahead and send the money. Like, we felt a little bit better when you saw the rest of college football play the last couple of days. You saw some things again with the green dot, with the new rules, with some teams playing their first game that made you feel pretty good. You saw Clemson get clobbered by Georgia. You saw Florida get clobbered, but man, we don't have the coach in the hot seat because, like, again, put it in perspective. Napier's in year 3. Like, this is the show out, prove it year. This is like when you got to show life, signs of life. This is quote unquote rebuilding year. Like, there were people out there who were right and were like, yeah, I don't care what these people are saying. They're a little too confident. You don't replace 13 NFL players. Like, their recruiting ain't that good. It's not good enough to do that. I thought they did enough in the portal and what we had coming back. I was wrong. Boy, was I ever wrong. The talent is there. I want to say the talent is there everywhere except for defensive line. Like, I don't know, defensive line and linebacker, I don't know if the talent is there. On defense, you kind of just have to have it. There's only so much you can do with scheme and blitzing because, and again, I'll have to watch it again. It looked like Adam Fuller called a decent game with his scheme and the blitzing and the different things he did. But guys got to tackle. Guys got to cover. They got to pick up the fumbles. 2 more fumbles in this game that we didn't pick up. One that was like deja vu. You don't pick that up. Another one, it was kind of a fluke. It went straight to the other player. But these fumbles, eventually, That's like supposedly, if you follow the data experts, fumble luck is like totally luck. It's like pretty much 50% across the board. It always comes back to the mean and the mode, whatever you want to call it. Like we've seen like 7 fumbles and haven't got one of them. Midtown says the season is 100% Norvell's fault. I don't know about 100%, maybe 97. Like there's some room there. There's some blame. But yeah, he is at the top. So at the end of the day, everything falls on him. But look, he took 100% ownership. I believe he will again. But I want to say Mike Norvell coached a good enough game to beat Boston College. I mean, he got you down there and calls 3 touchdown plays in a row, and you can't convert. Um, he calls all these different drives, and you have an offensive lineman shoving somebody down to end it. You've got, you know, somebody said 10 plus drops. We watched 2 conversions drop by Morlock. I think 2 by Toafili. All these conversions dropped. So like, but at the same time, there was that insane 4th down call. But that's him getting rattled. I guess, as much as you want to call it a cliche, that's him getting rattled and not trusting his guys and making that call. Just like he didn't trust DJU last weekend. And I guess we're seeing for good reason. As much as people at practice say it doesn't look like that in practice, like he had like 23 throws in before he had like 30% completion percentage. He picked it up, like I said, at the end, started making some plays. And what I used to make fun of old teams in garbage time, he started making some plays to Portier. That's what it amounts to, guys, garbage time. And I see folks down there saying I still support my Knowles guys. I am a die-hard Knoll. I've been through the quote-unquote lost decade, the 4 years that Tim Tebow was at Florida. I was there for the national championship in 2013. That was great. The playoff run. I was there for Willie Taggart years. I was there for the first 2 years. And Mike, like, I'm here. Like, I'm not going anywhere. I still love this team. I have love for every player on this team. But Mike Norvell makes $10 million. Randy Shannon, 650. Odell, 800, whatever the case may be. This is a very expensive. This is not Patty Winks. This is not even like student athlete anymore. This is professional, semi-professional, whatever the hell you want to call it, football. This is a ton of money invested in this. There's a ton of responsibility. So we got to be able to come out here and crack down on them when things are wrong and not going well. Like we got to be critical. I can't blow sunshine smoke when there's none to be blown. Like it's just there are some bright spots you can look at. I talked about Cam Davis need to get more carries. I talked about Kentron Portier maybe need to be in more of a target. You, I don't know if you can keep wasting time on Morlock. People are talking about, do you waste time on DJU? Do you waste time on Morlock? Is he going to figure this out? This isn't a Johnny Wilson thing. Johnny Wilson would make plays. He'd make up for it. He'd catch a touchdown later. Morlock, man. I feel like, honestly, as a human being, I feel bad for Kyle Morlock. As a fan of a Florida State football program that has this, whatever, projected $18 million next year, NIL, however many millions into the coaching staff, the renovations going on right now, all that stuff, we're going to have to be able to stand in the paint and talk crap about myself, man. Hey, there's hundreds and hundreds of hours from the summer of me being wrong, reporting what I got to see, what I got to hear, what I knew, what my experience told me about college football. But hey, I was wrong. I was wrong. You can't quantify the X factor, the mentality, the issues of the defensive line. You can take the issues on either side of the ball across the board, isolate them, and not a single one of them will keep you from being able to win either one of these games the past 2 weeks. Either if you want to say DJU or the linebackers or any of it, none of it. But all in concert, it's just it is what it is. That's how we're here. That's why I'm being so critical. That's why I'm saying you've got to really look in the mirror at the entire coaching staff, at yourself. And I think we can safely say now, after 2 weeks, this isn't making excuses. Florida State really freaking misses Alex Atkins and his opinion on that sideline, if nothing else. His ability to come put a hand on Mike's shoulder and say, "Don't go for it. I'm going to get it on the next drive. I'm drawing something up to help you. I got an idea." Whatever the case may be is. Because we all know that Kenny Dillingham was a big part of that team, and this team took on his personality when he was here. And when he left, Alex Atkins took over, and it took on its personality. And so take it for what you will, however much. Missing Alex Atkins has been a big effing problem, and we thought it wouldn't be. You've got guys showing out, committing personal fouls, uncharacteristic stuff. Yeah. And again, I said I don't want to pick on Maurice Smith because he had a penalty that was huge. It was costly, but later in the game, and I'm sure really the entirety of the game, he's probably trying to keep this whole team together. So I don't know what that infraction was, if it was a snap infraction of some sort, but yeah, I almost feel bad for him in that moment because that's another drive killer or whatever. It shouldn't be. He should be able to make a single mistake in that moment and it not be the end of the world. But that's where we're at now. Every single thing is magnetized, not magnetized, magnified. Excuse me, I can't even talk. Boston College only threw 16 passes. Yeah, I mean, DBs as far as pass coverage were good. It was him taking off on runs, designed runs, things of that nature. We never made them pass. We never put them in a position to have to pass. Like, if you know they're running it, and look, they hit enough passes, and they do have a running quarterback. It made it tough. They put you in a bind. So that's the thing with this defense. They were going to put up points. My prediction again was 31-24 Florida State. Either that or it was going to be about the offense, but the opposite. It would be 31-24 Boston College's way if Florida State were to lose. And that's about what happened, except for Florida State didn't put up their 21. They had 3 different opportunities to do that, but they couldn't cash in. Again, you saw flashes. You saw athletic ability. You saw the prospects of different players at different times in different directions, but not consistency. They are not mental tough. This is not a mentally tough. They got broken. They let themselves be broken over and over again. And at halftime, whatever, the coaching staff giving pep talks, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know who that guy is. Apparently, Hakeem Williams, again, another big loss not having him. You didn't have Jermaine Byers. At the end of that game, you had Jalen Early playing right tackle. That is not good. That is not it is good. Like, if we're going full youth movement, get him out there, get Armella out there. Let's do it. Let's go. But as far as if you would have told me by the second game, Jalen Early is going to be, starting the whole the whole fourth quarter in a game where you're down, you can't afford any mistakes. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's up with this angle or how I'm moving. I got one eye open. I'm looking cross-eyed, guys. I'm trying to hold back, not curse and everything. My face is twitching. I'm trying not to go crazy and hyperbole and be mean because, like I said, I love the program. Big Mike Norvell fan. Adam Fuller D. I don't know how much of it's coaching, and I don't know how much of it these guys just don't have it in their heart. And it's forcing the coaching staff to do things to try to make it work, and it's just not happening. I just do not know. But it's tough. Tough time to be a Florida State fan. But this is where you separate the fake from the real, the thick from the thin, guys. We just went through the worst stretch of Florida State football in 50 years, from 2017 to 2020, 2021. We just had 2 of the best years in Florida State's history, one of the best in history, one of the many 10-win seasons, but one of 4 undefeated regular seasons, only 4 ever. The other 3 got a chance to go play for a national championship. That's another part of this thing, guys. That snub, the subsequent everybody going to get surgery, the people, not risking the 13 NFL players going. You know who did play in that game? A lot of the players that we are calling upon to play in this game, they went out there and got their asses beat by Georgia. And it's fair to ask if that emotional trauma from that game, it did something to them. It stunted their growth. I don't know. That's probably cuckoo talk. I'll probably just be upset I even said that. But again, you lost 13 players to the NFL. 13. So huge leadership vacuum. Huge leadership backing. They got to look around. Hopefully, Hakeem Williams gets back because I truly believe he's one of those yards after the catch guys. It doesn't even have to be a perfect throw. If he can just get it in his hands, if DJ can get it close, Hakeem Williams can get his hands on it, he can make some big time yards after the catch. There's nobody, and I repeat, nobody on this receiver core who comes close to the body and athleticism that Hakeem Williams has. Darion Williamson, I guess, is the closest one to the build. But I love you, Darion Williamson. Your hand-eye coordination and things of that nature are not Hakeem Williams. None of it. You were wide open in the end zone. You didn't get a chance. But that ain't you, buddy. I love you. I think you should get more run. You're one of the persons who seems to have been in the place where you're supposed to be at several points during the year. But yeah, tough stuff, guys. Again, we're here at 56 minutes and 16 seconds. Sorry, this thing was a couple minutes late again. I went on a 10-minute rant with it not live there at the beginning. But here we go. Here we are, Here we are. Rec Talk making the appearance. There is no excuse for 20 yards rushing, no matter what anyone lost off the field, whatever. Yeah, there's no excuse for anything. And, I know you're probably just getting here or whatever, but none of the stuff that we're talking about is excuse making. You just have to talk about it and try to figure out what the cause is and what the step is from here. But as far as the rushing yard total, I think that's more just a symptom of just abandoning the run game. And again, yeah, I was screaming that they abandoned the run game way too early. You go for that fourth down way too early. You get first and goal from the 5-yard line. You throw it 3 times. Now again, you're dialing up touchdown plays, but you know what DJU is. Like, you couldn't hand it off. Like, it's 4-down territory. Tough. But again, be hard on Norvell for abandoning the run, but they got 9, 10 guys in the box. They had like all 11 in the box a couple times. The DBs are playing man coverage and everybody else is blitzing. Like, they're just daring you to throw it all night long. So that's how you end up with the 40 passes that DJU throws. Like, that's not something you want. You want him throwing 20 passes. But again, he hit a lot of guys in their hands in the second half. He had a lot of bricks going. And early in the game, hitting guys in their hands. Like, he's a guy that needs to get some momentum. We knew that. We knew that he is not a guy that's just going to be able to, in any situation, go out there and throw perfect pillows around. But he was going to be able to get it there, maybe not a bunch of yards after the catch, make some conversions. And if you get him going and get him involved into a game, he can go on stretches of playing pretty damn good ball. Well, I mean, you just never got him going. And then when he was off, boy howdy, it was off. Somebody was like, there's a little bit of, I told you so. Obviously, when something like this happens and you predict a good season, but like, I've never seen DJU have a 30% completion rating. Like, it was never that. I never saw it that bad. Like, when we played him, that isn't what it looked like ever in any of the years we played him. So, and again, in garbage time, he turned it around. I don't know. I'm not even going to look at the box score, guys. I know he got it close to 50%, but there's no excuses for anything. There's no excuses for the late hits, the unsportsmanlikes. There's no excuse for the defensive line getting pushed around. There's no excuse for the linebackers, the tackling when the safety's got an opportunity to tackle. There's just really not an excuse for anything. The wide receivers, at some point in the game, it looked like they were uninspired and not even getting open, as if like the ball isn't going to come to me. But I'd really have to go back and watch the film to decide that. I don't know if there's guys who weren't giving effort. I didn't notice on the first watch, like, there were guys who just weren't getting effort. Just guys getting their butt kicked, getting the physicality taken to them. we saw that first drive. It was like a test. The first couple plays, like Florida State, Georgia Tech hit him in the mouth. We hit him back, but it didn't take long, and that was it. It was Georgia Tech winning a lot. Whether it's abandoning the run or whatever the case may be, the timing of the play calls and when to run and when to pass and when to go for it, all those things are easy to call from the couch. But when things are going this bad for you, as Mike Norvell, it's real easy to do, and it's like it's hard to argue that what I'm saying or what any of these other podcasts are saying uh, isn't right. All right, here we go. Michael Ratliff, we'll give you your first 15 minutes of fame since you want to talk about it. There is not an excuse. Get your loud talking dumb butt out of here. Y'all had y'all's 15 seconds of fame, then struggled in the first half against nobody's State this week. Move on, cake eater. 15 minutes of fame, Florida State. I noticed your obvious blank there, but like, what is your team? 15 minutes of fame? No, Florida State was in the top four of the country damn near 15 years in a row. They have a national championship less than 15 years ago. They just went undefeated less than 15 months ago. You can get the heck out of here with that, man. We stand in the paint. It is what it is. But he's Rick Talk says he's talking about no, that doesn't. Rec Talk, what you're saying doesn't make sense. I don't think that's what he meant. Oh, I say he's talking about somebody in the chat. Well, see, that's why I ignore the chat. So if you were talking, if you were replying to somebody in the chat, I apologize, buddy. Look what you did to me. Any questions before we get out of here? I'm over it. Like, it is what it is. I think I put a pretty good voice to the things, the frustrations I felt in game. Is there any frustrations I haven't covered? Any frustrations? Get them out now. I'll give y'all a couple more minutes to see if anything fun comes through the chat. We've got Gators and all kind of people down here weighing our misery. I get it. You're right there with us, Gator Bros. Oh man, that TV, that Florida State Florida game at the end of the year is gonna be like, I don't even know. But they might have to. They may not even put that on CW. Let's just put that on Direct TV only. ESPN, but it only broadcasts to Direct TV. If you know anything about what's going on with them, you know that means nobody will see that shit. George, I can see your pain, bro. I feel the same. Now I got to go work in the morning and face the music. Yeah, for you guys out there that are working 100 hours a week and Florida State is kind of your escape as it was for me back in the day, kind of your mantra. I know this sucks worse for y'all than anybody. You got to take the trolling at the water cooler. You've been listening to me and 247 and More Chant and everybody else hype you up. So you've been talking smack at work to the Miami fans, like as always, just as a normal thing. And here it looks like they may have their moment of the sun. Again, it's just one weekend, Miami. Y'all got plenty of time to look crappy, but it looks like y'all are doing pretty good. Yeah, sorry guys. What I'll do for y'all is I will stand in the paint and we will try to entertain you 3 or 4 times a week at the Renegade Rundown like we always do. I'll show up at the Voice of College Football every Wednesday with Mark. I'll still go on my friends, Plant the Spear, Spear Addicts, Den Media Group. Maybe we can get CJ from Dope Talk on the show. We'll do all that fun stuff, but yeah, it's tough. Can't put any lipstick on this pig. That was your chance. You had a chance to put some lipstick on the pig tonight. Didn't matter how you won. You needed to get a win, go into bye week, have some time to come out with a little bit of swag, build some team chemistry. Now you got 2 options moving forward. You go full youth movement. You pull off the Band-Aid, you tell all the seniors or whoever the case may be, whether it's your quarterback, we're going to give this a shot. You can hang around if it doesn't work, get you back in, see if we can somehow bring you back, get some momentum going again. If not, you want to leave, we understand. But we're going youth movement, and that's what we're doing. We're getting back to basics. You either do that, or you get everybody together, you pull out the permission slips like Jimbo Fisher had back in the day, you make everybody sign it, say you're bought in, and it's time for the climb, baby. You're back to off season. You're taking these boys to mat drills for 2 weeks. I don't know how you work it out with the practice because it's like they need to be able to hit. They need to get out there and practice, but they need to be tried in a way that challenges their manhood and everything and come through. They need some kind of camaraderie to happen within there, because it's just not there. The ability to give that 100% when you only have 60 because it's third down and you've got to get off the field, to give that superhuman effort for a couple plays so you're not playing 60 of them. Like, that's just winning football. We've all seen it before. And yeah, people can talk jokes about exposed and this and that, but no, it is what it is. This Norvell's first fifth year with the program. He saw 4 years at Memphis. He brought that thing to a fine tooth comb. He had the 4-year plan here at Florida State. We went to the playoffs. He misjudged. Year 5, the reload, it did not happen. So at worst, it may be 26 before we get to that juggernaut that I was hoping for, which, and to my own credit, before we get out of here, I did say that, like, yeah, I'm making all these predictions and things, but this is with the caveat of Adam Fuller and Mike Norvell coaching these guys up, being in good positions, because we aren't UGA or Ohio State. Like, we don't have that amount of overwhelming talent that we were going to be able to just do things like the past 2 weeks and still win. We're not that good, and that's coming. If the trajectory goes forward, if you look at 23 and 24's recruiting classes, and then you add this class of 2025 and the next one, yeah, then you've got 70% blue chip ratio plus all the portal stuff. You're a juggernaut. Like, that's not what you had this year. You had talent. Don't get me wrong. And we all predicted it. We thought you had an NFL front four and all these things. You didn't. It was wrong. We were wrong, but at the same time, like, yeah, it is what it is. You're going to have to hear a lot of talk about recruiting, about this staff, if you're Mike Norvell for the rest of the year. And the move, and not to beat a dead horse, but the move at linebacker coach and the talk about certain guys moving into different roles as they move on up in age, that shit's going to get really, 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 really loud the rest of the way. I want to say it's like I've never been more happy for a bye week, but I don't. It's going to be torture, man. I mean, it's going to be 2 weeks now before we even get another look at this team, and you're going to see a Memphis team that, hey, they're on the up. That's a program he brought. You know, they're 5 years removed from him. They figured it out. They've kept themselves pretty good. Um, Boy, if you lose to Memphis, then, like, at that point, I will say if Mike decides to go the route of bring everybody together, go through buds for the next 2 weeks, you go DJU, and then you lose to Memphis, that's it. Then it's time to go youth movement, and that's all. You just have to sell out for next year. That, or just start preparing for Miami. Don't even worry about Clemson. Just start preparing some crazy game plan for Miami. I don't know. But yeah, I've stayed on here long enough. We love you guys. Thank you guys, everybody, for joining the FSU Voice of College Football. Make sure you get over to my channel as well. It's just at the Renegade Report right here. We're trying to get to 3,000 subs, so if you could sub over there, that'd be great for us. But again, hit the like and the subscribe right here at the FSU Voice of College Football. We're live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern with myself, Spear Addicts Den Media Group, Mark Rogers, of course. But yeah, that's about it, man. We appreciate the love in the comments for Renegade Report. Yeah, Renegade Report owes a lot to the Voice of College Football. So we'll see you guys the rest of the season. And no matter what happens or how bad it gets, I'll be here, and we'll see you guys on the next episode, of the post-game show. If not, you can catch me over there, like I said, at the Renegade Report soon.
Oh, we suck.